6:45, so let's get going here with the first item.
Evening. Hopefully you had some time to review, I guess, the RCA. Just wanted to point out just a few considerations as you navigate your decision. We talked a lot about precedents in parks and trails, and currently we don't have any other parking lots open in the winter unless there's rain. That was kind of outlined in the RCA. Along with the satellite bathrooms, we don't provide that was also in the RCA. But a couple other things. The only clear pavement policy for a parking lot that we do have is here at City Hall. We don't even have rinks. We will apply ice melt if there's going to be freezing rain in the forecast or if the snowpack gets too crazy. Currently, we do receive a couple calls to open up other parking lots within the park, specifically Southdale and Myrtle Beach for people to park and then walk the trails. Get a couple calls, but I guess my fear is if this park is open throughout the winter, are we going to get other calls and other expectations? Will it be a clear parking lot policy that's going to be expected, which would add more to the cost that I outlined a portion of it in the RCA, but what I didn't account for is staff time and salt to put down if we were going to go that route. So just keep that in mind. That would be an added cost for not only the dog park, but any subsequent parks that you guys get calls on to open up. The other thing to consider is if we do open up this parking lot and trail to this park, other people might call in and ask for other inter-park trails that are currently closed in the winter to be open as well. So that would all add time to the plow event, which normally on a 2 to 3 inch plow event, it's about 6.5 hours for staff, for each staff member. So just know that if we're gonna open up parking lots and potentially other trails in our system, that would continually add on and therefore add on the costs as multiple trails. Currently, we don't have any funds in the budget to maintain this park in the winter.
Are the gates going to be locked? Let's say if someone wanted to walk in just on their own, would they be able to access the play areas?
Yeah, good question. So in my proposal, the one thing I think to go into is, I guess, what I would see if we didn't maintain, and that would be exactly it, is we wouldn't lock the gates. Somebody could come in and navigate the trail system to get to the play area, and maybe they bring a shovel.
See people snowshoeing, actually. Everybody else about cross-country skiing on that trail.
Sure.
Yeah, I mean, historically, we've refrained from doing any daily maintenance in our park system except for the warming house and the ice rink and the facilities related to it, like the parking lots adjacent to OK Park and LT Park. We refrained that for the reasons why, that Mr. Hondo has referenced. We didn't want to assume that the council wanted to continue to follow that historic policy, practice with the dog park. It was never discussed as we were putting this there. We are of the opinion that it should be, can be utilized. All of our parks can be utilized in the winter if someone wants to snowshoe or cross country or do things like that. But the services or facilities just would not be available for use or things of that nature. It's kind of the summary that we're trying to share with the council and looking for that concurrence.
Just to make it clear, we do check park trail garbages because we do notice people walk through, like say, barn tops on snow-packed trails. So we do still check the garbages periodically. It's just that obviously more frequency in the winter time. So we would still be making those checks. It just be very less frequently, probably every 2 weeks, depending on the
Aspect of the area.
Sure.
They just
for it. I emailed the sign maker again yesterday and got no response, but he was shooting for around this time, the first week of November, so. I was just gonna say, so we're gonna, just in preparation, we're gonna get the footings excavated, because cold weather coming, we'll cover, make it safe for everybody. But once that sign comes, we will put it in the ground.
And then what about, quite a few additional memorial walks at the park, or maybe?
In the coming weeks, yeah, correct.
Thank you. And since we're talking dog park, it is gonna be on Lakeland News tonight, at about 10:20. It's starting.
So is Whipple Beach not cleared at all? Like it's just, the parking lot's just left?
Correct, yeah.
Okay, even like the access point?
Especially that, just
Okay.
because of liability.
Okay.
I don't think the city's been interested in wanting to plow access down there,
Gotcha.
like people in there.
Gotcha.
I think some residents take it upon themselves to plow, so, but we certainly don't.
See, I don't go there much in the winter, so it's like, I think I'm sure.
Cold plunging is in now, Patrick. Everybody's doing it.
No.
There's a privately plowed trail to get to the access that goes out for fishermen off the middle lake once it can support vehicles. That's pretty consistent year after year.
So is there any risk of anything freezing in the dog park if we don't get snow?
We're along with other facilities.
Okay.
The only thing that would be left to do is to pump the satellites dry with some antifreeze in it out of there for the season. But all the irrigation, all of the pumps have been full.
Any other comments, or? Seems like the proposals are a good one. And, under hotels, just for snowfall, and, it could be a long time.
Yeah.
So. Yeah. Any other, we have consensus on that, or? Yeah. Okay, thanks, Alex, thanks for all you do.
Yeah, appreciate it. Thank you.
That's it, Brett.
That is all, Your Honor.
For motion to adjourn the workshop.
Make that motion to adjourn the workshop.
Second. Motion, second, all in favor? Same sign, motion carries. We'll be right back, more or less. Okay, so, check your mailboxes. Thank you, and welcome to our council meeting. Oh. Now we are. Brad, any presentations,
There are none, Your Honor.
additions, or changes to the agenda?
We have two additions to the consent agenda. The first one is approve and authorize the execution of Crow Wing County Soil and Water Conservation District MOU/agreement, the Minnesota DNR grant agreement, and the joint powers agreement related to the Baxter Sylvan Township Community Trail Project. And the second item is approve the Anderson Brother Construction Company Brainerd LLC change order number 3 to modify the substantial date for the completion of the 2025 Commercial Full Depth Reclamation Improvement Project, Municipal Project 4425.
Okay, thank you. Next thing we'll look at is public comments. If anybody's here to address anything that's not on the agenda, we would entertain those comments at this time. Seeing none, we'll move forward.
We do have just one, we did have two written
Oh, okay.
public comments.
Sorry.
Both were related to the 371 overpass project. Have received emails from Rick Morris and Tanya Rausch. Their letters will be forwarded on to you and will be put in the project file.
Okay, thank you. Okay, then we'll move on to the consent agenda. The following items are considered non-controversial by staff and are recommended to be read read and passed in one motion. Any councilperson, staff, citizen, or meeting attendee can request one of our items be pulled from the consent agenda, and the item will be pulled and addressed immediately after the passage of the consent agenda. Otherwise, the following items will be passed in one motion. Number one, approve the city council minutes from October 21st, 2025. Number two, approve the city council work session minutes from October 21st, 2025. Number three, approve the payment of bills and finance report. Number four, approve the 2025 body worn camera audit report for the police department. Number five, approve the MOU with the Central Lakes College regarding on-campus sexual assault investigations. Number six, accept $40,000 Sourcewell match grant and authorize contract execution to cover a portion of the snowplow truck replacement in 2025. Number seven, approve the WITSID proposal for Protect Program funding application services in a lump sum amount of $4,250 for Southeast Baxter Surface Water and Flood Control Project, and direct staff to prepare a funding application for fiscal year 2029. Number eight, approve the issuance of a lower potency edible registration to Robert S. Needham, doing business as Pure Exhale LLC for the period of November 5th, 2025 through December 31st, 2025. Number nine, accept the 2025-2026 Sourcewell Government Match Grant award to the police department. Number 10, approve and authorize the execution of the Crow Wing County SWCD MOU agreement, Minnesota DNR grant agreement, and the JPA related to the Baxter Sylvan Township Community Trail Project. Number 11, approve the Anderson Brothers Construction Company of Brainerd LLC change order number 3 to modify the substantial date for the 2025 commercial full depth reclamation improvements project, municipal project number 4425.
Move approval of the consent agenda.
Motion by Zach, second by Patrick. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Okay, Brad, number 12.
Mayor and Council.
Or somebody.
Yeah, I'll take it. We're here tonight to hear the step 3 grievance by an ASME employee, Mr. Keith Binsfield. In the council packet, you'll see I provided a report summary. I'll kind of just briefly go over that. Back in mid-August, our assistant city engineer, Trevor Thompson, was approving timesheets for public works employees. And at that time, Mr. Thompson questioned a call-out request on Mr. Binfield's timesheet. Mr. Thompson reviewed it and determined that ASME employee sent a text message out to two other employees to inquire about who left a vehicle parked outside. Mr. Binsfield responded to that text message and indicated it wasn't him. That's relevant. Assistant Engineer Thompson then reviewed the contract or CBA and determined that Section 72 of callback pay did not fit the request to be compensated for responding to that text message. So then on August 27th, an ASME representative filed a step 1 grievance on behalf of Mr. Binsfield. The step 1 grievance was then, according to the terms of the contract, to be heard by the immediate supervisor. So our public works director, Trevor Walter, met with Mr. Binsfield in mid-September to discuss that step 1 grievance. Mr. Walter did ask Mr. Binsfield to provide data to support the request where the city is compensated for call-outs for responding to text messages in the past. The union did not provide any data to support that. On September 19th, Public Works Director Walter denied the step 1 grievance. Then on September 22nd, an ASME representative filed step 2 grievance on behalf of Mr. Binsfield. And then on October 8th, myself and Finance Director Pasinik, we heard the step 2 grievance. Again, I asked the union to provide data to support their callback request, and they have not provided anything. We met, we discussed the grievance, and based upon the information that was discussed, it was determined again that responding to the text message does not meet the spirit or intent of the contract language language. I did provide a copy of that callback contract language in my report, so you can see where it talks about where an employee is called back to work after the completion of their shift. Mr. Binsfield was not called back to work. He did respond to a text message, and because he responded to a text message, a work-related text message, he responded, "I did not." So because that was work-related, the city did compensate him for 15 minutes of work, as that's our minimum increment of time that we pay employees. And then on his October 30th paycheck, Mr. Binsfield was then paid for the 15 minutes of work for responding to that text message. And that did put him at overtime, so that was at an overtime rate. And it should be noted that administration, we did review 18 months of timesheets for public works employees, and we did not identify any instances where the city has provided callback compensation for employees responding to text messages. I denied the step 2 grievance, and then on October 23rd, an ASME representative filed a step 3 grievance on behalf of Mr. Binsfield. And that step 3 grievance, according to our CBA is to be heard by the city council. So that is where we're at tonight. So that's kind of a summary of the events. If you'd like to ask Mr. Binsfield some questions, you can do so. And then following the end of our discussion, you have 10 days to determine how you want to respond to that grievance. Those 10 days would be prior to our next council meeting, so we would need to take action on that tonight if you chose to do so. Otherwise, we would have to ask the union for an extension if we had to wait till our next council meeting, if they were agreeable to that. So I don't know if you have any questions for me, but that's kind of a quick summary as to the timeline from where we're at tonight. And yes, I should mention, we have our business, ASME business agent here is Abby, and then her, I'm not sure what Troy's field director with ASME is also here in the audience.
Hi everybody, it's nice to meet you. Brad and Kelly, it's nice to see you again. My name is Abby Pearson. I'm the exclusive representative for ASME Local 0689. I've been an exclusive representative for this group for a little over a year now, so I've come to know them well. The thing that I've known about this group most is, one, their hard work, and two, their dedication to the city of Baxter. So with that being said, you all can see, the callback language that Assistant City Administrator Steele added to your packets. That language is pretty clear. I don't feel that it's the union's place nor needed to provide examples because our contract says a callback is a callback. Unfortunately, a text is a form of a callback. A text, a phone call, him coming into work are all callbacks. Now, there are contracts in which the callback language would specify, hey, a text is this or it's not this. A call is this or it's not this. Our contract doesn't have that specification. It just says callback. If you research this, by definition, a text from somebody above him to answer a question that he has no way to know what's the necessity of this question. Is it life or death? Is it, can it wait till tomorrow? He doesn't know. He just knows that he was texted on his personal phone to work. So when that happened, he responded as a hard worker of the city of Baxter. And yeah, that response might be a short response to you. Whether it's short or not, whether it took him 5 minutes or whether it took him 2 hours, our contract is clear. Our contract does not say 15-minute increments like the city had proposed on step 2. That's why we denied it. And I also think that obviously proves that the city is willing to accept that he did perform work, at least 15 minutes of work. With that being said, I think as well that he was messaged on his personal phone is a larger thing to just also look at here, right? That's a memo, I believe, had went out about that in my absence. So it was October 17th that the city did respond that they are willing to give Keith here 15 minutes, which is proving, right, in documentation that he did complete work. So our argument is as it's been from the very beginning, as it always should be, unless our contract language was to change, which is because he completed work outside of his regularly scheduled shift, he is deserving of those 2 hours. I would like to just have Corey here kind of say who he is, how long he's been here, what he does for the union, as well as Keith.
Yep. Name's Corey Steineger. I don't know if you can hear me without the mic there. Current president of our union. Been here a little over 6 years. So.
And I am Keith Binsfeld. Been here almost 10 years. And I've been in water and wastewater and utilities.
I agree that, you know, we all might have different perspectives on if this is, you know, necessarily worth the 2 hours, but it's all gonna boil down to simply our contract language. That's what it would boil down to if we were to go to the next step into mediation is our contract language. And our contract language is clear, which is a callback is worth 2 hours, not 15 minutes that was proposed. Is there any questions for me or for our grievant? Thank you.
Thanks for your time.
Have a good night. Yes. Guess we're on the council comments already.
Well, I mean, we have to talk about it. Obviously, the union has walked out of the meeting. You know, in that context, we do have 10 days to provide a response.
Right.
In the event that we don't provide a response, it's considered denied and we go to the next step, which is mediation. So I don't know what the council's preferences, you know, or thoughts are on this, but we'd be looking for direction or action from the council.
Are we supposed to do that with them in the room? Otherwise, go get them and bring them back.
No, I mean, it's open.
They don't.
It's an open meeting.
They thought what I thought, we got 10 days, we're not gonna do anything.
Yeah, but we do not meet within 10 days unless we want to schedule a special meeting between now and then,
Or ask them for
or ask them
extension.
for the extension.
So I have a question. Is this something that needs to be decided verbally, face to face, or is this something where we can share thoughts via city email or?
No, this is nothing that is considered private data or protected data, you know, such as an employee's health or something of that nature. This is clearly just a contract dispute and is not allowed to be handled under the closed session or provisions of under state statute.
There's no discipline or anything.
Yeah, there's no disciplinary of that nature, so.
So is that a no or a yes?
No. it
We
would-
can't have an open meeting.
Bottom line is right here, right now, we need to decide to either deny it
Or seek an extension to have the conversation on the 18th.
which would also
Be a
potentially
public meeting.
result in future arguments, though. They have a right to receive this within 10 days, correct?
Or waive that, or extend that. yeah.
They would have to wait.
They would have to waive or extend it, yep.
So if 2 days from now you ask and they say no, then we have an issue, correct?
Correct.
So I think, I'm hearing we need to figure it out right here.
Or we'll change it to this anyway, so, yeah.
I'll start the conversation by saying I don't think when that clause was written, emails and text messages were likely what was envisioned when the city agreed to that clause with now the way work is. I think from what I understand of those rules, it makes perfect sense that an employee has answered a text message or an email outside of working hours is considered work if they're an hourly employee. But called back to work is what I see as the issue. And yes, work was completed, but when the agreement was made, it seems unlikely that the city council or city staff who negotiated that contract at that time likely did not think a text message is a call back to work. I don't know if any other opinions are out there.
Well, as an employer, I've messaged employees after hours with no expectation of them replying. So I don't.
If they did reply, were they compensated?
I mean, in my mind, in this digital age, it's the equivalent of throwing a sticky note on their desk, which I've also done. That's my take on it. I've intentionally tried not to send messages during on-off hours, but
So is this something that needs to be perhaps approved now and then readdressed and possibly rewritten in the,
We're looking at,
We're currently in negotiations of a new CBA that is set to expire at the end of the year. And there are provisions within that section of the contract that are part of the negotiations.
You know, if they're correct, and I don't know, there's maybe some poker being played here too, but, and I would go to arbitration. Arbitration would see it the way they're seeing it. And we would lose it either way. We probably either need to, either way, we need to fix it. If it's not relevant for today, we need to fix the language there. So there's no ambiguity. Everybody knows exactly what it means. It doesn't mean it. Not be left up to other people to arbitrate it or make that decision. And,
Just for point of clarification, there's a step between arbitration and this, the current step we're in arbitration, and that's mediation. So just want to make sure that's clear that there's 5 steps of grievance in the current CBA, and we're step 3, step 4 is mediation, step 5 would be arbitration.
So are we in an agreement that that's what a mediator would look at and say that that is what that means based on our contract?
And both sides would share their position.
I understand that, but how would it be looked at on the people making the decision?
The mediator is trying to provide a common ground. The arbitration would be the point where it would be the final decision making. If it got to that point, if there was no settlement through mediation.
I think too, with the compensation of 15 minutes is, I guess from my perspective, that was where I was trying to find that middle ground, acknowledging that, yeah, you worked, you took a minute to do that. It wasn't worth 2 hours of your time, but you did work, so we are going to compensate you for that, but was that, I did not worth 2 hours of pay? 15 minutes, I guess, is how I felt was middle ground and was fair.
Well, another perspective is we're already in for 15 minutes of overtime, another hour and 45 minutes of overtime. It's probably going to get burned up into the effort to, mediation and whatnot. So, might be more efficient just to roll with it and fix the language going forward.
I just want to say this is so foreign to me because having had a career as an educator, and probably that was a mistake that educators tend to make, is we're almost too available. We're replying to emails and answering questions at 10 o'clock at night or at 6 in the morning. So I'm struggling trying to wrap my head around this, but I guess
I'm the same.
having said all that, I agree with what Patrick is saying.
In an agreement level of everything that was just said, I mean, I think the issue being is this worth taking all the way to arbitration, dollars and cents? I think it's clearly not. But this language would need to be fixed and can't be turned into a, like now we're going to have, or we have to have a policy policy that says no one ever sends a text message, period, and we have to really get extreme. I think that creates all kinds of bad precedent for the workplace. So, I don't wanna set a precedent by like, I don't know, maybe staff, you can give us a little more info on if we just say, okay, we'll pay the 2 hours. Does that set us up for now, if we can't negotiate this out, now we have a major issue moving forward?
Yeah, I think we do potentially, you know, historically, the text messages is part of the key communication to snow plowing events during the, you know, the off hours. And there's never been a call back based upon responding to a text message just saying this is okay, we're gonna plow at 5 a.m., which is an early start per our contract, and it's just giving the fair warning that, or the advance notice that we're starting early upon the day. Now that's, under that context, it would be considered a callback. In that context, and we recognize that the contract is written prior to the technology being in place, but as Assistant Administrator Steele had indicated, there's not been any instances in which we have asked for proof that there has been a precedent set. Now, again, we are in the middle of negotiations of a new CBA. How that plays out or that comes to a conclusion is yet to be determined. If we find common ground and in the context of what's the definition, or expanding on the definition of a callback, or having specific language for after-hour phone calls or text messages, that's yet to be determined if we can come to an agreement on how those are handled going forward.
Well, if it makes sense to do so for the efficiency and reasonableness of the workplace, I can see denying this grievance at this step based on the fact that I don't think the intent of agreeing to this the way it is written was if you receive a text message and so much as read it, I think could be the argument here, not even reply to it, because it takes effort to open your phone and read a work-related item. I don't think that was what the intent of the agreement was. Call back to work. I think the generally accepted understanding in a workplace context is you left your house to come back to work, and maybe even were called halfway there and told to turn around, we don't need you anymore, and that's why the 2-hour precedent would have been set. So on that, I'd be okay with the denial if that keeps us from opening a door we don't want to open at this time.
The one thing that I do want to note is administration has been in constant conversation with our labor attorney, Maggie Penland, and we are here today based upon the opinions that have been provided to us and the guidance that has been given to us. So just for what that's worth.
So you're reiterating your staff recommendation to deny the step 3 grievance?
Yeah.
I can support that.
It's kind of an interesting concept where Kelly does try to find a happy medium and offer 15 minutes of pay, and it comes back to why that's because now we've acknowledged it worked, and then throw it back in our face, and so no good deed goes unpunished once again, but I think that I would agree with the rest of it too.
So if we need a motion, I will make the motion to deny this step 3 grievance.
I'll second it.
Any more discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. You got what you need there, Brad?
Yes, sir.
Okay, now we'll move forward. Connie?
As I think nearly all of you are aware, I did lose my dad a few days ago, and I'm just so appreciative of the condolences and the hugs and the great comments. It's, again, just affirms that I'm really, really fortunate to work with the class of people that I do, so.
Zach?
No comment tonight.
Patrick?
We got two comments kind of related to the 210-371 meeting last night. I guess, Brad, you had asked about, we're not going to call for a vote at this time, but you had asked for questions to send to MnDOT. I got one major question that I don't feel has been answered yet. I've asked it before. I'd like to see examples of this type of intersection in use today. Traffic simulations are one thing, but putting pavement on the ground and actually putting it into use can be a completely different thing. Traffic simulations really can't identify what real harms you're going to do on these roads. I've seen examples of button hooks and examples of some roundabouts, but not a combination of the two in such close proximity. Just as a following comment, I don't really want the city of Baxter to be MnDOT's lab rat for this experiment, unless we can see examples.
Okay.
That's my comment.
Okay. I too just want to express condolences to Connie and the loss of her father. I know they were very close, and at any age, it's still a loss, and it's still sadness. So we've been thinking about you, praying for you. I wanted to thank Brad and Todd and whoever else helped set up last night. They were over there. They spent a lot of time setting the logistics of it, getting things ready to go, and it went really, really smooth. So I appreciate it. I appreciate that. There is a note in your mailbox. Somebody who actually likes us in the cities. You might want to read that. It's kind of nice to see. So, City Administrator.
Thank you, Your Honor. I've laid in front of you the annual request for nominations for Sourcewell Board of Directors. Knowing that the meeting time and location conflicts with our regular council meeting, I know that none of the council would be wanting to avoid the fun year that we have once a month to attend that. But just wanted to disclose that and share that with you. So make sure that you know what's going on with Sourcewell and the Board of Directors. And then secondly, carrying on what Council Member Sundberg had indicated, a few items related to 371. Council was included in the packet for the work session at the October work session with MnDOT and the Chamber of Commerce. There was a staff memo that outlined responses related to the MnDOT's responses to our initial concerns related or questions related to the button hook design. As conversations continue to go, that memo referenced sticking points that the staff is recommending that we continue to be had for discussion, such as Golf Course Road and Fairview access points, things of that nature. So it's not been formally submitted to MnDOT, just looking for consensus that we can do so, as that's the city continued communication regarding our concerns or position related to the proposed design. If so, we will submit it tomorrow. Secondly, being that the public hearing was last night, wanting to gauge or ask the question of council, is there anything that you heard last night that you believe should be warranted or explored for answers. Councilmember Sundberg has identified requesting the examples of similar designs, real examples of or existing examples of similar design of the button hook. Wondering if there was other testimony that piqued your interest of wanting to have, that you didn't have, the answer to or want to have staff or MnDOT explore.
Well, I need some clarification here. I thought they were working on something. They were gonna come back with, they were drawing up something and so,
Yeah.
I don't think I have any questions till I see that.
No, and they are working based upon the communications that have transpired at the work session and have carried on via email. I know that they provided some response, they're continuing to provide those responses, but again, based on the testimony, is there any additional things that you would like staff or MnDOT to investigate, try and get an answer to?
I guess I'm not prepared to answer that. I wasn't aware that this was really going to be on
My notes are
topic of
in.
discussion. Yeah.
I did disclose though, in the RCA and again last night, that my intentions are to continue to ask the question, are you ready to put this on the next council meeting for formal action? If not, is there any information that you would like to have, or is there anything outstanding that you would like to get answers to? We know that there's some things that are out there, so that's the reason why I refrain from saying, are you ready for municipal consent? Because I know that answer. But my follow-up question is there any additional information that you would like us or MnDOT to research and provide the answers to?
I guess I didn't read the second part of that question.
I guess I'll toss out some more since this is gonna be a discussion. I guess the question I would have is not so much based on commentary per se, but knowing that the original application for this entire thing that included the support that the chamber indicated that they provided, from what I recall, it was an overpass design over 210 of 371. And there were 5 finalists, and this is the design that was chosen by MnDOT. That leaves 4 other designs that we haven't discussed any of those 4 since they narrowed it down. I'm just curious, is MnDOT open to considering these other ones? I believe it was the letter we received from Friends and Bank specifically said that they would like 8A. If there are other options that are negotiable, that have already been vetted, I'd just like to know the context of the conversation that the next 90 days is going to lead to. Are we talking about only the button hook or nothing? Or are there still 4 other options that have been vetted to the point of potentially being acceptable in MnDOT's eyes?
I think, and I don't want to put words in anybody's mouth, but what I thought I heard Mark saying was that he wanted to go back to what the original plan looked like that was actually voted on and the law was passed on in the cities. And take another look at that. And, that was the original plan. That's what the legislature's agreed to. And then to see if there's any way that we can add on to that or refine that. So I was under the impression somebody was working on that and there was going to be some drawings coming back to us. Maybe I missed the mark on that one.
No, I believe that they're trying to do so.
What's that?
I do believe that they're working on those things. I believe the communication even referenced that. I think it was the Councilmember Sundberg.
Yeah, they're working on that. I had asked, just one of the questions, it's like, what has to be true? And this is email direct to Eric, because him and I have gone back and forth a lot on emails. I just said, it's like, what has to be true for that stoplight at Excelsior to still exist? Because there was a design that some go over the railroad, and it was identified that going over the railroad is probably a good idea if we're gonna spend a bunch of money on this. And I guess you can kind of debate that back and forth, but, I'm okay with that. And then option number 4 was removed from as a possibility. One, because it was too expensive, but, you know, today's dollar is $10, I'm not gonna argue that. But it was too expensive and it restricted too much local access. And that was the only option that showed an overpass at Excelsior. The other 2 options showed the drawing coming back down at Excelsior. So, and that's what was used to get the funding. And now we've basically got an option that looks a lot like that number 4 that was rejected because it restricted too much local access. So that's my complaint, and that's where my question to MnDOT came in. It's like, well, what has to be true? You know, lifting up Excelsior and 371 10 feet in the air might be a lot more palatable to the community and might be a lot less impactful than a 30-foot wall right through the middle of town. So that's why I'm glad that they're working on some drawings, they're running some traffic studies, just to at least flush out another potential option versus just hanging their hat on this button of design and basically arguing any other options tonight. So that's my 2 cents.
Let me ask this question. Would council find it valuable to have more of a kitchen table talk with MnDOT without having external, I mean, obviously it's a public meeting in that context, but having a special meeting where the focus is just the discussion of the button hook or not the button hook, but of the project, and get answers or myth bust or however you want to define it into having a one-on-one conversation between MnDOT and the city staff, I mean, city council. Would you find value in that you can be able to ask those general questions instead of it being via?
I would be in support of that.
It would be much more efficient to actually bring them in, yes.
And if they've got something ready to talk about and
Right.
show us, you know,
Something different.
there's no sense sitting around talking about the same stuff, you know. But yeah, I think so too. We have a workshop scenario, dictates who talks and who doesn't, so. It would be just us at that point, so. I don't want to, we've got 90 days, but I don't want to milk that either. But I don't want to rush unless I've got something to show me, is what I'm saying, you know. I keep waiting to hear about these drawings that are coming in, and I want to see something that I can critique, if you will, you know, because I'm an engineer, and I know.
Yeah.
Also,
If council's amendable to it, I will work with them, get some suggested dates, and try and get something on the calendar for a off-meeting date work session, so that the focus and conversation is specifically regarding the project and allowing for that one-on-one.
And of course, Councilmember Crossman would be contacted.
Yeah.
And I can chat with you this week. I've got notes at home I don't have memorized of what they might want to, you know, there was talk about adding lanes and that type of thing. I don't have it at fingertips, but I can maybe be given to them before that meeting too, so they can have some answers.
And I'm liable when I hear it, I don't necessarily, I need to see what it's going to look like too, because I don't have the kind of mind or conception of that. I was a gym teacher.
I think that, you know, one thing that came up, pretty much the same guy, but I think 2 or 3 times is why don't they tunnel it, why don't they go under? And the whole problem is the water table's too high, so that issue was resolved. Just need to quit talking about it, that issue.
I can tell you that MnDOT did take notes, and they're trying to put together a response for frequently asked questions.
Yeah.
Regarding the funding, regarding the options, things of that nature, to update their website. As you indicated, you don't want to put words in the mouth, but being that there was an advisory committee meeting this afternoon, I do know that discussed on the work session and again last night, that I know that they are planning to try and update that into a one-page flyer as to kind of give the answers. Well, it might not be the answers that an individual might be looking for, but they are answers to the questions, or to dispel anything that may be out there, you know, like last night, you know, that is $5 million is the city's local share. Well, as you've read the letter of request, it's indicating that that's zero. So just trying to dispel those myths or debunk those things and to provide answers to questions that they believe that they haven't been properly answered. I know that they're working on that.
I do want to say too, I was grateful for the positive comments that were directed toward the engineers. Between collectively, I think I added up, they have over 100 years experience. So I think it's very important that we respect their expertise. And it's easy to be critical and slam when I don't think we have any place in this discussion on either side for that to happen. So just wanted to make that point.
So I will reach out to MnDOT and try and find some tentative dates that we can then pull you guys and getting a meeting lined up. Sorry, not a meeting, a workshop.
Okay, anything else?
That is all in the administrative report.
Okay, city attorney.
Yes, as it's indicated, we are going into closed session for 2 items. The first one is under pursuant to Minnesota statute 13D.03, is for labor negotiations. The second item in closed session is being closed pursuant to Minnesota statute 13D.05 subdivision 2B for preliminary considerations of allegations or charges of the Public Works Director, Walter. Looking for a motion to close.
I'll make a motion to close the open session and open the closed.
Second.
Motion and second, any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All the same sign, motion carries. That is it.